First contacts echo. Senior archaeologist Valthera's heart raced as her research vessel approached the derelict station. The massive structure hung motionless against the backdrop of the Andromeda Arm, its angular architecture unlike anything in Coalition records. After 3 decades of studying extinct civilizations, she had never encountered something so perfectly preserved. Rating minimal power signatures, her pilot, Kex, reported. The avian-like Correction's feathers rippled with nervous energy. Structure appears stable, but there's something odd about the radiation patterns. Valthera's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she studied the holographic readouts. The station's design defied conventional engineering logic. No standardized docking ports, no visible propulsion systems, and an energy signature that seemed to pulse like a sleeping heart. Cross-referenced the design with the Coalition archives again, she ordered, her scaled fingers dancing across the console. The computer churned through millions of historical records before displaying a single match that made her blood run cold. Human. The word alone sent a ripple of unease through the bridge crew. Humanity had been absent from galactic affairs for over 40 years, vanishing without explanation at the height of their technological renaissance. They left behind only fragments of their civilization and a warning no one understood. We'll return when the darkness comes. Ma'am, Kex's voice quavered. We're being scanned. Before Valthera could respond, a holographic interface materialized in the center of the bridge. Light coalesced into the form of a human female, her digital avatar flickering with bands of code that suggested an artificial intelligence far more sophisticated than anything the Coalition had achieved. Welcome, researchers, the AI spoke in perfect Coalition standard. I am HFY, Advanced Research Intelligence Assistant. This facility has been dormant for 43 years, 2 months, and 17 days. Your presence has initiated the awakening protocol. Valthera stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her caution. I am Senior Archaeologist Valthera of the Coalition Science Division. This station, it's of human origin. Correct. This is Research Station Prometheus, humanity's final project before the implementation. Araya's avatar smiled, but there was something sad in the expression. I've been waiting for someone to find us. The timeline is accelerating faster than predicted. Timeline? What timeline? Valthera asked, but Araya's attention had shifted to the station's exterior. Docking protocols initiated. Please proceed to Airlock 7. The archive must be witnessed. The eye's form flickered. Time is no longer our ally. The research vessel's automated systems engage, guided by Araya's precise instructions. Valthera assembled her team. Kex, their security officer Drax, and xenobiologist Dr. Yara. As they approached the airlock, the station's exterior panels shifted, revealing docking clamps that perfectly matched their ship's specifications. It adapted to us, Dr. Yara whispered, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with excitement. The entire structure is programmable matter. Inside, the station was a marvel of engineering. Corridors reconstructed themselves as they walked, forming pathways that accommodated their various physiologies. The air itself seemed alive with microscopic machines that analyzed and adjusted to their presence. Araya's avatar led them to a vast circular chamber dominated by a crystalline database core. This is the Prometheus Archive, humanity's greatest achievement and our greatest burden. The core activated, projecting a 3-dimensional star map of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light pulsed in synchronization, forming patterns that made Valthera's scientific mind reel with implications. 43 years ago, Araya continued, our long-range sensors detected something approaching from intergalactic space. An entity that defied our understanding of physics, a cosmic predator that devours civilizations. We called it the Dark Star. The holographic display shifted, showing a mass of absolute darkness that bent light around it. Mathematical formulae scrolled past, describing its properties in terms that pushed the boundaries of known science. Humanity knew the Coalition wasn't ready. Our warnings would have caused panic, destabilized the careful balance of power. So we made a choice. Araya's avatar grew solemn. We withdrew, pooled our resources, began the greatest construction project in human history. The display changed again, revealing a vast network of installations hidden throughout the galaxy. Research Station Prometheus was just one node in an intricate defensive grid. Each station contains a piece of the puzzle: technology, weapons, knowledge humanity developed to fight the Dark Star. But we couldn't risk this information falling into unprepared hands. So we waited, scattered our species across hidden colonies, and left watchers like myself to judge when the time was right. Valthera's mind raced with implications. The darkness in humanity's warning. It wasn't metaphorical. You've been preparing for war. Not war, senior archaeologist. Survival. Araya's form solidified, becoming more present. The Dark Star has accelerated its approach. Coalition deep space sensors will detect it within months. When that happens, panic will follow. The old power structures will crumble. Unless what? Unless you help me activate the recall signal. Humanity's fleet stands ready. Our technology has advanced beyond anything you can imagine. But we need the Coalition united when we return. That's why I chose you, Valthera. Your reputation for diplomacy, your commitment to truth, you can help bridge the gap between our peoples. Valthera studied the data scrolling before her. If Araya was right, everything she knew about humanity's disappearance was wrong. They hadn't abandoned the galaxy. They had appointed themselves its secret guardians. The Coalition Council will never believe this without proof, she said. Araya smiled. That's why Prometheus contains more than just data. Follow me. The AI led them deeper into the station, to a vast chamber filled with stasis pods. Inside each, a human slept. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, preserved at the moment of humanity's withdrawal. The implementation wasn't just about building weapons, Araya explained. We needed ambassadors, people who remembered the Coalition, who could help restore trust. They've slept here, waiting for this moment. Valthera touched one of the pods, feeling the hum of technology far beyond her understanding. Inside, a human woman in a diplomatic uniform slept peacefully, unaged by the decades. How many stations like this exist? She asked. Enough to save everyone, if we act quickly. Araya's avatar grew urgent. But first, you must understand what we're facing. Let me show you humanity's last discovery, the truth about the Dark Star. The chamber's lights dimmed as new holographic images filled the air. Valthera watched, her 4 eyes wide, as humanity's greatest secret began to unfold. The fate of the galaxy would depend on what she learned next, and the choices she would make in the coming days. The first ripples of the storm were about to break across the stars, and humanity's long vigil was finally coming to an end. The Oracle's wake. The Coalition Council chamber erupted into chaos as Valthera's preliminary report reached its conclusion. The massive amphitheater, designed to accommodate representatives of 67 spacefaring species, rang with voices of disbelief, fear, and outrage. High Counselor Engstthal, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of distress, raised all 4 hands for silence. Senior archaeologist Valthera, you realize the gravity of what you're suggesting. That humanity didn't abandon us, but has instead been operating a shadow network throughout Coalition space for 4 decades. Valthera stood firm before the council, her scaled skin shimming under the chamber's lights. The data crystal containing Araya's revelations felt heavy in her hand. The evidence is irrefutable, High Counselor. Research Station Prometheus contains technological advances that could only have come from decades of concentrated development. The human stasis pods alone. Stasis pods that conveniently cannot be opened without triggering unknown protocols, interrupted Counselor Zexri, their insectoid mandibles clicking with skepticism. How do we know this isn't an elaborate trap? Humanity was always ambitious, always pushing boundaries we'd established for the greater good. A new voice cut through the debate, transmitted from the holographic interface Valthera had brought from Prometheus. Aria's avatar materialized in the center of the chamber, her presence commanding immediate attention. Because, Counselors X-ray, if humanity wanted to conquer the Coalition, we would have done so 40 years ago. The AI's form expanded, filling the chamber with a three-dimensional star map. Instead, we chose to become your silent guardians. Observe. The map zoomed in on a region of space far beyond the Coalition's borders. A mass of absolute darkness moved through the void, consuming light itself. Real-time data scrolled alongside the image, showing energy readings that defied known physics. The dark star, Aria continued, approaches faster than our original calculations predicted. This simulation shows its projected path. A line of red light traced through Coalition space, intersecting with dozens of populated worlds. Time remaining until first contact, approximately 7 months, 13 days. High Counselor Axthel's crystalline surface clouded with concern. If this threat is real, why didn't humanity warn us? Why the secrecy? Dr. Yara stepped forward, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with nervous energy. Permission to address the council. At Axthel's nod, she continued, "We've analyzed the data from Prometheus. The dark star isn't just a physical threat. It emits a form of radiation that affects cognitive functions. Extended exposure leads to paranoia, violence, and societal collapse. Humanity feared that early warning would only accelerate the chaos. And now?" asked another counselor. Aria's avatar smiled sadly. "Now we have defenses, weapons, technologies that can shield organic minds from the dark star's influence. But implementing them requires trust, cooperation, and humanity's return." The chamber fell silent as Aria projected a new set of images. Massive ships emerging from hidden docks throughout the galaxy, defensive installations powering up after decades of dormancy, and everywhere, humans awakening from their long sleep. "We request," Aria said, "the Coalition's permission to reactivate all Prometheus-class stations, to wake our people and begin the integration of our defensive systems with Coalition infrastructure. The alternative, the AI let the darkness in the star map spread, consuming virtual worlds one by one." Valthera watched the council members' reactions. Some showed fear, others calculation, but in most, she saw growing resolution. The evidence was too strong to ignore. High Counselor Axthel's spoke first. "We will need time to verify these claims, to examine the data independently." "Time," Aria replied, "is the one resource we cannot spare. Already, the dark star's influence reaches into Coalition space. Reports of unexplained aggression, of rising tensions between member species, these are not random events." As if to punctuate Aria's warning, emergency signals began flashing throughout the chamber. Reports flooded in from the Coalition's borders, unprecedented solar activity, communication disruptions, and a strange darkness that sensors couldn't penetrate. "It begins," Aria said quietly. But humanity planned for this moment. Across Coalition space, 317 Prometheus stations stand ready. Each contains a piece of the defense network, a fragment of the shield that can protect organic minds from the dark star's influence. We call it the Aegis Protocol. Valthera stepped forward again. "High Council, I've seen humanity's preparations firsthand. The technology in just one station surpasses anything in our archives. But more importantly, I've seen their sacrifice. Generations of humans gave up everything, their homes, their connections, their place in the galaxy, to prepare for this threat." The chamber's lights flickered as another wave of anomalies washed through Coalition space. High Counselor Axthel's crystalline form resonated with decision. "The Council will recess for 1 hour," they announced. "When we return, we vote on humanity's proposal. The consequences of either choice." They glanced at the spreading darkness in the star map. "May the wisdom of our ancestors guide us." As the council members filed out, Valthera approached Aria's holographic form. "If they refuse, If fear outweighs reason, then humanity will do what it has always done. Araya replied, "Protect those who fear us, save those who doubt us, and stand against the darkness regardless of the cost." But the price of victory. The AI's form flickered. The price would be far higher without coalition support. In the depths of space, aboard countless hidden stations, the first wave of human sleepers began to stir. Humanity's long vigil was ending, but the true test of their dedication to the galaxy's survival was about to begin. The Oracle's warning had been delivered. Now came the moment of choice, for the Coalition, for humanity, and for the future of all sapient life. Guardians of the Void. The stasis pod's crystal surface dissolved like morning frost as Admiral Sarah Chen took her first breath in 43 years. Medical nanites flooded her system, reversing the effects of long-term suspension as memories crystallized into focus. She was no longer on Earth, but aboard Prometheus Station Gamma, one of humanity's hidden watchtowers. "Admiral." Araya's familiar voice greeted her. "The Coalition Council has voted. They've accepted our offer, with conditions." Sarah's legs were steady as she stepped from the pod, muscle memory preserved perfectly by the stasis field. "How many stations have gone active?" 73 out of 317. The AI's avatar materialized, displaying a tactical map. The Coalition insists on activating them gradually, maintaining oversight of each awakening. More importantly, the Dark Star's approach has accelerated beyond all projections. Emergency klaxons cut through their conversation. The station's sensors had detected something at the edge of their range, a wave of darkness that defied normal spacetime, twisting sensor readings into impossible shapes. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her voice hoarse but strong. "Coalition Border Outpost Alpha 7 went dark 6 hours ago," Araya reported. Their last transmission described crew members experiencing intense paranoia, followed by violent outbursts. "The Dark Star's influence is spreading faster than our models predicted." Sarah strode to the station's command center, where dozens of recently awakened humans worked alongside Coalition observers. The room hummed with activity as they coordinated with other Prometheus stations, implementing protocols developed over decades of preparation. "Show me the Aegis grid coverage," she ordered. The tactical display shifted, revealing a network of overlapping energy fields, humanity's greatest achievement. Each activated station projected a portion of the massive shield designed to protect organic minds from the Dark Star's corruption. "Coverage at 27%, Araya reported. "Minimum safe threshold is 85%. At current activation rates, we'll fall short by approximately 6 weeks." A Coalition representative, a tall crystalline being named Anxithal, approached the command station. "Admiral Chen, 3 more border outposts have gone silent. The Council is reconsidering their gradual approach." "Show them," Sarah commanded. Araya's display expanded, revealing footage from the last functioning cameras on Alpha 7. The images were nightmarish. Crew members turning on each other, their eyes dark with an unnatural madness. But worse was the void visible through the station's windows, a darkness that seemed to watch, to think, to hunger. "The Dark Star isn't just a cosmic anomaly," Sarah explained. "It's conscious. It feeds not just on matter and energy, but on the fears and conflicts of sapient beings. Humanity discovered this the hard way 43 years ago. We lost 3 colony worlds before we understood what we were facing." New alerts flashed across the tactical display. The darkness was spreading, tendrils of void reaching deeper into Coalition space. On affected worlds, crime rates spiked. Old grudges between species erupted into violence. The Dark Star's influence was subtle at first, turning mild suspicion into paranoia, disagreement into hatred. "Admiral," a young lieutenant called out, "Prometheus Station Delta reports their Aegis generator is online, coverage increasing to 31%. Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing through scenarios practiced countless times in simulation. "It's not enough," Area. Initiate Protocol Omega. Authorize full awakening across all stations. Axthel's crystalline form vibrated with alarm. Admiral, the Council hasn't approved. With respect, Counselor, Sarah interrupted. We're out of time for politics. Look. She gestured to the display, where the darkness was forming patterns, showing signs of intelligence and purpose. The Dark Star is learning, adapting. It's seen our defenses and is changing its approach. We designed the Aegis network to deploy as a single system. These partial activations are giving it time to find weaknesses. The station shuddered as another wave of dark energy passed through the sector. Emergency reports flooded in. Riots on coalition worlds, ships going silent, entire communities descending into chaos. Area. Sarah commanded. Broadcast on all frequencies, all stations. Authorization Chen Omega 73. Wake them all. Across the galaxy, hundreds of hidden stations hummed to life. Stasis pods opened, releasing soldiers, scientists, and specialists who had sacrificed decades of their lives for this moment. Massive generators powered up, each contributing its piece to the Aegis shield. Coverage at 45%, 53%, 67%. Area reported as more stations came online. The tactical display showed the shield taking shape, a web of golden energy pushing back against the encroaching void. But the Dark Star wasn't retreating. Instead, it seemed to gather itself, concentrating its mass into a more focused form. The void between stars deepened as it drew in light, matter, and energy. It's preparing to breach the shield, Sarah realized. This was never just about defense. Area, activate the Prometheus Protocol. All stations. Admiral. Axthel stepped forward. What is the Prometheus Protocol? Sarah's expression was grim as she watched humanity's final secret unfold across the tactical display. What you're about to see, Counselor, is why we really disappeared. The Aegis shield isn't just a defense, it's a weapon. And humanity. Humanity became its ammunition. Around them, Prometheus Station Gamma began to transform, its very structure shifting as systems hidden for decades finally awakened. The true battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin, and its outcome would depend on a sacrifice 4 decades in the making. The human protocol. The Prometheus Station's transformation was unlike anything the Coalition had ever witnessed. Across the galaxy, the hidden outposts began to move, their structures flowing like liquid metal as they revealed their true form. What had appeared to be research stations were actually nodes of a vast machine, a weapon built on a scale that defied comprehension. By the first light, Axthel whispered, watching as Prometheus Station Gamma's command center reconfigured itself. What have you created? Admiral Chen stood at the center of the chaos, her expression resolute as holographic displays showed hundreds of stations synchronize their metamorphosis. We created a bridge, she answered. A connection between normal space and something else. Something that could match the Dark Star's power. The tactical display showed the void continuing to coalesce, its darkness now so absolute that it created visible distortions in spacetime. Coalition worlds within its influence reported mass hysteria, while others went completely silent. The Aegis shield, now at 89% coverage, crackled with golden energy as it held the darkness at bay. But for how long? Area. Sarah commanded, initiate final phase of Prometheus Protocol. Authorization. Humanity's dawn. The AI's avatar appeared, its form now spanning multiple stations simultaneously. Admiral, the human crews, they need to know. They've always known, ARIA, from the moment they volunteered. Sarah's voice carried the weight of 40 years of preparation. Display the protocol overview for our coalition allies. They deserve to understand. The command center's displays shifted, showing the true nature of humanity's plan. The Prometheus stations weren't just defensive platforms. They were vast consciousness uploaders, designed to capture and transfer human minds, into the energy matrix of the Aegis shield itself. 43 years ago, Sarah explained as the Coalition observers watched in horror and awe, we discovered that the dark star wasn't just feeding on organic life, it was feeding on consciousness itself. But consciousness can fight back. If properly unified, properly focused. You're going to merge with the shield, Anxthal realized, their crystalline form vibrating with shock. Your entire species. Not quite. HFY interjected. The human consciousness will serve as a framework, a foundation. But to truly match the dark star's power, we need more. We need all of you. New alerts flashed across the displays. The void had begun testing the shield, sending tendrils of darkness probing for weaknesses. Each touch caused cascading disruptions in the energy matrix, threatening to tear holes in humanity's defenses. Coverage holding at 92%. A technician reported. But the shield's integrity is dropping. The dark star's attacks are becoming more coordinated. Sarah turned to Anxthal, her eyes reflecting the golden light of the shield. This is why we waited, why we prepared in secret. The Prometheus Protocol requires volunteers from all sapient species. Each consciousness adds its unique perspective, its unique way of perceiving reality. Together, merged with the shield, we create something new. A collective consciousness vast enough to challenge the void. And what happens to these volunteers? Another Coalition observer demanded. To your people? We evolve. Sarah answered simply. Consciousness transcends the physical. We become part of something greater, something capable of fighting an entity that devours reality itself. But it has to be voluntary, has to be a choice. The station shuddered as another wave of dark energy washed over them. Through the viewing ports, they could see the void continuing to gather its strength, preparing for a decisive assault. Admiral, Aria's voice was urgent. Shield integrity at 76% and falling. We need to begin the consciousness transfer within the next 30 minutes, or the matrix won't have time to stabilize. Sarah opened a galaxy-wide channel, her voice reaching every Prometheus station, every Coalition world still able to receive transmissions. This is Admiral Sarah Chen. 43 years ago, humanity made a choice. We saw the darkness coming and knew that traditional weapons, traditional tactics would fail. So we found another way. We learned to transform consciousness itself into a weapon, to merge our minds into a shield that could protect all sapient life. But we can't do it alone. She paused, watching as the void twisted space around itself, gathering power. To every species, every individual who can hear this message, we offer you a choice. Join us. Add your consciousness to the Aegis matrix. Help us create something new, something powerful enough to drive back the darkness. The process is reversible. Once the threat is defeated, all volunteers can return to physical form. But if we fail, if too few choose to join us, there won't be a galaxy left to save. The void surged forward, its attack crashing against the golden shield with devastating force. Alarms blared as the energy matrix buckled under the assault. Shield integrity at 64%, Ariya reported. Multiple breaches detected in sectors 7 through 13. Dark star influence spreading rapidly through affected systems. Sarah watched as the first responses to her message began arriving. From Coalition worlds, from neutral territories, from species that had long distrusted each other, volunteers began stepping forward. In the face of extinction, ancient rivalries meant nothing. Begin the transfer sequence, she ordered, stepping onto one of the consciousness upload platforms. Around her, hundreds of human crew members did the same. Ariya, initiate protocol final dawn. Let's show the darkness why humanity spent 40 years preparing for this moment. The platform hummed with energy as Sarah closed her eyes, ready to join with the consciousness matrix she had helped design 4 decades ago. The true test of humanity's greatest gamble was about to begin, and the fate of all sapient life hung in the balance. In the void between stars, the dark star gathered its full might for one final assault. But this time, it would face something unprecedented. The combined consciousness of multiple species, unified in purpose, transformed into living energy by humanity's most ambitious creation. The battle for reality itself was about to begin. Legacy of the stars. The transformation began with light. Across the galaxy, thousands of volunteers, human and alien alike, felt their consciousness expand as the Prometheus Protocol activated. Physical forms dissolved into pure energy, merging with the golden matrix of the Aegis Shield. Admiral Sarah Chen's mind touched countless others as the network grew, each consciousness adding its unique perspective to the collective. Matrix stabilization at 47%. Aria's voice echoed through both physical space and the growing consciousness web. Dark star approaching critical engagement range. Within the matrix, Sarah experienced reality in ways her human mind never could have comprehended. She saw the quantum threads connecting all matter, felt the pulse of stars, and understood the deep patterns that governed existence itself. Around her, other consciousness streams joined the network. Crystalline thoughts from the encephal, harmonious wave patterns from the meridians, complex geometric structures from species she had never encountered. In physical space, the Prometheus stations completed their transformation, forming a vast geometric pattern that channeled and amplified the consciousness matrix. The golden light of the Aegis Shield took on new properties, no longer just a barrier but a living thing, guided by the collective will of its inhabitants. Matrix stabilization at 73%. Aria reported. Coalition reports indicate the Dark Star's influence is beginning to weaken in shielded sectors. But the void struck then, not with physical force but with concepts, fear, doubt, primal terrors that transcended species boundaries. The Dark Star wasn't just a cosmic entity, it was the embodiment of entropy, of the universal fear of ending. Its attack targeted not their bodies but the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. But humanity had prepared for this. 40 years of research, of understanding consciousness at its deepest level, had led to this moment. Sarah reached out through the matrix, touching minds across the galaxy, sharing the technique humanity had discovered. The ability to transform fear into determination, doubt into resolve. We are not alone. Her thoughts resonated through the collective. We are not ending. We are becoming. The consciousness matrix shifted, adapting patterns discovered by one species and applying them through the perspectives of others. Crystalline logic from the encephal, combined with human intuition and meridian harmony, creating defensive structures that the Dark Star couldn't unravel. In regular space, the void's advance slowed, then stopped. The golden light of the shield began to push back, not just defending but actively converting the darkness into something new. But the Dark Star fought back, concentrating its mass into a spear of pure entropy aimed at the heart of Coalition space. Matrix stabilization at 89%. Aria's voice carried new urgency. But the Dark Star is adapting. It's targeting the primary consciousness nodes. Sarah felt the void's attack, felt it trying to unravel the very concept of self that allowed the matrix to function. But here, in this realm between physical and mental, humanity's greatest strength proved decisive. While other species excelled at maintaining their self-image, humans had always been masters of reinvention, of becoming something new while retaining their essential nature. Together, Sarah's consciousness reached out to every mind in the matrix. Don't fight the change. Direct it. Show the darkness what consciousness can really do. The collective responded. Billions of minds working in perfect harmony, each contributing their unique way of perceiving reality. The Aegis Shield began to pulse with new energy as the consciousness matrix achieved something unprecedented. True synthesis between different species' ways of thinking. The void recoiled as the golden light began to take on properties it couldn't comprehend. The shield was no longer just a barrier. It had become a bridge between different ways of existing. Every consciousness in the matrix contributed to this impossible evolution. The ability to be many things at once, to exist in paradox, to embrace change while maintaining identity. Matrix stabilization at 100%, Araya announced. Consciousness synthesis achieving theoretical maximum. The Dark Star. It's retreating. But retreat wasn't enough. Humanity had spent 40 years preparing not just to drive the void away, but to ensure it could never threaten conscious life again. Through the Matrix, Sarah initiated the final phase of the Prometheus Protocol. The golden light surged forward, not to destroy the Dark Star, but to embrace it. The void fought, trying to corrupt the approaching consciousness wave, but it couldn't comprehend what it was facing. The combined perspectives of multiple species had created something entirely new, a way of existing that could incorporate even entropy itself into a greater pattern. The transformation swept through space like a silent nova. Where there had been darkness, new light bloomed. Not the golden energy of the shield, but something between light and dark, a harmony of existence and entropy. The Dark Star wasn't destroyed, it was transformed. Its fundamental nature shifted by contact with the unified consciousness of multiple species. As the new reality stabilized, ARIA began the consciousness restoration process. One by one, volunteers returned to physical form, forever changed by their experience in the Matrix. They brought back not just memories, but new ways of thinking, new understanding of what consciousness could achieve. Sarah opened her eyes on the Prometheus station, her human body feeling simultaneously familiar and strange. Around her, other volunteers were returning. Humans, Anxithal, Meridians, all carrying the shared experience of their time in the Matrix. It's done, Araya confirmed. The Dark Star has been completely transformed. Its energy is now part of the natural cycle of the galaxy, no longer a threat to conscious life. Anxithal, their crystalline form somehow more complex than before, approached Sarah. You knew, didn't you? That fighting the darkness wasn't enough. That we had to transform it instead. We suspected. Sarah smiled. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology or our determination. It was our ability to change, to become something new while remaining ourselves. We just needed to help the rest of the galaxy remember they could do the same. Above them, the transformed void sparkled with new possibility. The galaxy would never be quite the same, and neither would its inhabitants. Humanity's 40-year gamble had paid off in ways even they hadn't fully anticipated. They had saved the galaxy not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but by proving that consciousness itself was the greatest force in existence. The legacy of the stars had been rewritten, and the future held possibilities that no single species could have imagined alone. The age of isolation was over. The age of true unity had begun.